The Civil Rights Movement. Hello and welcome to this video on some facts about the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement was a crucial period in American history that saw a struggle for equal rights and treatment for African Americans. It began in the 1950s and lasted until the mid-1960s, resulting in significant changes in society and the law. This article will explore the Civil Rights Movement, its origins, key figures, and lasting impact on American society. Origins of the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement can be traced back to the end of slavery in the United States in 1865. However, it wasn't until the 1950s that the movement gained momentum. African Americans were still subjected to discrimination, segregation, and violence, particularly in the southern states. They faced limited job opportunities, poor housing conditions, and were denied access to schools, public transportation, and other services. In the 1950s, the landmark case of Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, which declared segregation in public schools unconstitutional, set the stage for the Civil Rights Movement. This ruling sparked a wave of protests and demonstrations, led by figures such as Martin Luther King Jr., that sought to end segregation and discrimination in all areas of American life. Key figures of the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement was marked by the leadership of numerous activists, including Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and many others. Martin Luther King Jr. was a Baptist minister and civil rights activist who played a pivotal role in the movement. He advocated for nonviolent protest and delivered his famous, "I Have a Dream," speech during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963. Rosa Parks was a civil rights activist who refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery, Alabama, bus to a white passenger, sparking the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955. Malcolm X was a civil rights activist and leader of the Nation of Islam who advocated for black pride and self-determination through more aggressive means than King. He was assassinated in 1965. Impact of the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement had a profound impact on American society, leading to legal and social changes that transformed the country. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were key pieces of legislation that outlawed discrimination and gave African Americans greater access to voting rights. The movement also helped to inspire other social justice movements, such as the feminist movement and the LGBTQ rights movement. It also led to the emergence of more black political leaders, including the election of Barack Obama as the first black president of the United States in 2008. Frequently asked questions. What was the Montgomery bus boycott? The Montgomery bus boycott was a protest against segregation on public buses in Montgomery, Alabama. It was sparked by Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat on a bus to a white passenger and lasted for over a year. What was the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom? The March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom was a massive civil rights demonstration that took place on August 28, 1963. It was organized by a coalition of civil rights organizations and featured Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous, "I Have a Dream," speech. Who was Malcolm X? Malcolm X was a civil rights activist and leader of the Nation of Islam. He advocated for black pride and self-determination through more aggressive means than Martin Luther King Jr. What was the Civil Rights Act of 1964? The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a landmark piece of legislation that outlawed discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. It also ended segregation in public places and gave the federal government greater power to enforce civil rights laws. Like the video and remember to subscribe to our channel.